The next is budget assistance. We have seen churches that where Barb in particular has helped out with the churches where they're basically copying the same budget they had from close to 10 years ago because nobody knows how to put together a budget. And they're just living off of the same budget from 10 years ago, which really doesn't apply, but it is the new budget that they have for the new year. And so we wanted to get away from that kind of situation. The other is, as I mentioned a second ago, is recommending what the best practices are for that bookkeeping. And again, as laws change and as new accounting practices come in or new issues arise, we want to be able to take advantage of that. And so we have one person that's doing that research for us. Now, we've got a pilot project by Solid Rock. So I'm going to have Bobby, so that you don't think that I'm just kind of feeding you all kinds of information, making things look all rosy and so forth.
I actually am quite thrilled about this whole process. I'm the pastor's wife, and I never wanted to be the co-treasurer, but that's where we were. And we had a really nice Excel spreadsheet that had a lot of tabs in it, and it worked, but it was very cumbersome, and it was not easy to really hand that off to somebody else.
It's probably very similar across the board. We lose them to athletics. We have two families that are there every Sunday that have both said they're not going to be there tomorrow. One because there's a soccer tournament at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and another baseball tournament tomorrow at 9.
Right.
So how do we attempt to make alternatives in the culture that we're in when these things are taken on the priority? And how do we stress the importance of being in community, but then providing, not just expecting that they're going to rearrange their busy schedules to come if it's not.
How do we maximize the relationships that we do have and the time that we do have?
We are showing them, in a sense, with the diaconate, how the sausage is made to some extent within ministry, which isn't always pretty, and it's messy, and they discover, wait a minute, I didn't know the church worked like this. I didn't know this was what I was getting into. It's like, well, welcome. We're pulling back the curtain of ministry a bit for our deacons and moving them into a deeper involvement. There's a sense where we are hoping to build into our diaconate a sense of stability.
Right.
That your ministry field is the local church, and extending from it into the environs of the local church.
FYI, you've joined the club of Free Methodists.
That's right.
And
That's
you
right.
Stand up for it. So.
You're in for life. Javier, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I think the diaconals, they need to know, the pastor's not here, but I am here.
Yeah.
And the people can see you like the person that is being charged for cover that area that is missing in the church.
Right.
They know everybody can do that, can fill that place.
Yeah.
But the diaconals can do that.
I always focus on this too, spiritual integrity. Be careful about saying we need spiritually mature people, because there's two problems with that. One is you negate the person who's very hungry, who's been a believer for 2 years, right? And sometimes that's the most important person to have with your ministry group. The other thing is somebody can say, well, I'm spiritually mature. I've been saved for 40 years. I've been in the church. And we all know this person at times can be the one who is completely resistant to engagement spiritually, and their resume is not what you're looking for, right? I think that there's an intentional nature of what we need. And so I'm always more interested in that. And I also find that it's a way to avoid the legalism of measuring spirituality, which I don't know about you, but I find that so difficult.
So we have 2 services with Sunday school in between, and our Sunday school teachers are, for the most part, very faithful, long-term Sunday school teachers that have been teaching for a while. Our problem more with volunteers also comes during our children's church time, because we offer children's church in both the 8:15 and the 10:45 service, as well as nursery and preschool church. You would hope that with 2 services, people would volunteer for one and go to the other service, but that's not usually how it works.
But then at the same time, because ours is during the church service, that's a lot to ask.
Right.
Of course, in our situation, for them just to be several people, because then you're always missing church.
Another thing if we can discuss is we need a team of people to meet regularly, like every 4 months. We need volunteers that can serve on a committee to really get down to the nitty-gritty of one, fundraisings. You know, how are we going to fund these projects? Some of our churches, you know, might be lacking in funds. You know, might be, too small. And so, if we can just all come together and try to come up with ideas.
What would help with having the 4 or 5 people is if we had a project like this, not that all of us would have to go up there, but 1 or 2 would go up there just to look at it so we could bring it back to the 4 or 5 and then have a good plan and a good plan to give back to them. This is what we can do. This is what needs to be hired out. This is what, whatever the situations come. But that way, if the superintendent or one of the churches come to us, that at least we can say, okay, we'll look at it, see what we can do. Because right now, it's just what we're doing right now, which is hard to do because I can't necessarily go up there every time, but maybe someone else can that has the knowledge of what we need.